Hello, designers. Today I said I would talk about gamification. So, as you're coming in, I have 4 gamification techniques for you guys, and I even have a whiteboard. So, I actually had plans. I was like, oh, it'd be so fun to make something with you guys today. And so, I'm considering it for the next few days where I'll cut out something from my silhouette store and cut it out and be with you guys. But for the time, I'm going to talk about gamification today, and hopefully, this helps those of you who kind of struggle in the design process. So, one of the things I hear all the time is I want to become a designer, and they get really excited about it and they do the design work, and then they get stuck in the process. And I teach a specific model called the design process model, and it's in my book Design, Profit, and Prosper, which I was like, do I have one here? I do. Here, it looks like this. It's available on Amazon. It's a quick read. It has like 3 or 4 frameworks in there to help you get started. So I talk about the design process model. And once people realize, like in the design process model, there are all these things that have to happen, they start to realize that design really is a business, that it's not just the fun part, it's actually all of these extra things that sometimes are hard to do. Like during our production time, that's creating mock-ups, that's creating all kinds of things that not everybody loves. Okay. And that's just kind of the process of being a designer, right? So here are some gamification techniques I think will really help you. These are not all mine. One of them is actually one of our coaches, Julie, does it, and I think it's freaking awesome. Okay. So this is my first one. It's called mini design challenges. So what do you do for a mini design challenge? I do this with myself. Okay. So what I do is I will literally put on my planner, and let's pretend I'm starting 11:30 right now. I would say I'm going to complete my first quote by 11:45. Then I'm going to complete my second quote by noon. So I give myself these little deadlines and see if I can keep up with myself to finish what I'm trying to do. Now that's for something easy like a quote. If you have an SVG file, maybe I will like give myself 30 minutes to build the base of the foundation, but I just like will give myself these little challenges along the way. There's something about calling it a mini design challenge that feels way more enticing than here's the list of things that you have to get done and the task list, because I'm always like, I get kind of excited if I'm able to check them off as I go and I've done them really, really quick. Okay. So I love what I call mini design challenges. I don't think I brought an eraser. I'm using my fingers. This is like not the thing that you're supposed to do. Okay. The next one is what I'm calling the gold star method. Now, this is what especially when I started Design Suite Mastermind, we kind of started telling people to do. And then Julie, who's one of our coaches, actually did it and built it. So what this is, remember as a kid when you had chores, you would put a gold star up or a sticker or a check mark onto a chore chart sheet. That is the same concept here. I was just talking to someone on Sunday about this. I was like, it's crazy that sometimes the old stuff just works the best. And I think this is one of the best methods. It's just the gold star method. And so what you would do is if you have a certain number of designs you wanted to complete, for example, in a month or a year, you would just build for yourself in Illustrator or something else a big, nice chore chart for yourself, right? That I'm going to finish this many designs. And then you just either start checking it off or giving yourself stickers and you hang it somewhere you can see. Now, for me, I would hang it somewhere in front of me because I'd want to see it because it gets me excited and makes me think about like, how could I get just one more? And by the way, that's one of my favorite phrases. You can ask all my CEO girlfriends. I'm always like, just one more. Get just one more done. And I really encourage you, if you do not have a chore chart for yourself, and you can call it your design chart to see how many designs you can get done, that is a really fun way to kind of just make it like this fun thing for yourself. Now, if you want to make it really fun, give yourself a treat at the end, right? Like you get to X, Y, and Z when you're done with whatever that is. I believe Julie's was based on number of products. If you're a Design Suite Mastermind, we talk about number of products we want you to do because we're playing this volume game and what really works and what doesn't work. And so based on that, she had built a huge chore chart for herself, or a design chart, and she would mark it off as she went to see how many designs she could get done. Pretty fun. I would actually, hello, Judy. How are you? I would love to hear from any of you guys that are here in the live. If you don't mind posting in the chat if you've done anything and share with the group, I will share it with everybody because I think this is a really good way for us to share gamification techniques. So, okay, so if you missed it, the first one is mini design challenges. The second one is what I call the gold star method. Okay, so it's your checkbox or chore charts. The third one is called, I just call it so boring. A collaborative challenge. Okay. Now, this is really great if you are friends with designers. And those of you in Design Suite, those of you who are friends, even those of you who are Trailblazers and MCM, like my recommendation is you pair up with a friend. Now, why do you do this? Accountability, right? So this is really fun. And there are lots of ways you can do it. Okay. Now, this is what I recommend for those of you who have a friend in the design world, and maybe you're in two different categories. Like maybe one of you does laser and one of you does fabric. That's okay. You can still do this challenge together. So if you want to make it crazy fun, you guys can choose a theme. So you can be like, today we're going to focus on floral things. Okay. And so at the end of the day, you show each other all the floral stuff that you made. You choose a time, like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 7 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock or whenever you want. Okay. Noon, if you want, like maybe you just have the morning to design, and you get on a Zoom call or a Google Meet and you just show each other all your stuff. Do you know how fast you will make stuff and how beautiful your stuff will be if you know you've got to show it to someone else? Bingo, right? This is why this works so well, okay? Because when you go out of your way to like have a theme or do something, you'll show each other your work, okay? If you are in the same category, so like maybe you're both people who do sticker sheets, okay? Then instead, what I would do is say, okay, we're both gonna do 3 sticker sheets by the time we meet, okay? And so that same day, you're like, we're gonna have 3 sticker sheets done, we're gonna get it done, and then we're gonna meet at this time, okay? So maybe you don't have a theme, you just have a number, okay? So you can do a number, you can do a theme, okay? Numbers don't work as well when you're in 2 different categories, right? Like, because like 5 fabric designs might not equal 5 laser designs, for example. So sometimes theme works out better, and then number works out better if you're in the same category, okay? The other thing you can do is not meet. Instead, you just like put a challenge out there and you're doing it collaboratively. And you say like, everyone today, we're all going to make 5 designs. It doesn't matter what they are. We're just going to do 5. Okay. And then we're going to meet, or we're going to put it on like a text chain and just post all the stuff we did. Right. The fact that you have to show it, and that is one of the keys to this method, showing it to someone else makes it far more likely that you'll complete it because we feel the pressure, right? The peer pressure of it. And second of all, it actually makes us push ourselves a little bit further. Okay. Really good. Yeah. Andrea said, I love this. Yeah. It's really, really good. It's a great method. And Andrea and Susie and Judy, you guys are all in Design Suite. So you can have other Design Suite members do this with you, which is really cool. Okay. Yes. Susie said, I love it. I'll have to do something like this in my artist group. Yeah. And then Judy says, I love this, making the less fun stuff fun. It makes me want to do it. Right. So, I've been listening to this researcher who's like an evolutionary biologist or behavioralist. I can't quite remember, but he is talking about how we spend so much time being alone now, like autonomous in our work, in our friendships. We spend more time being alone. And when he said, like, he was like, the key to happiness is doing things with other people. I think this is one of those things. Like, if you can figure out how to make things social, you're more likely to do it. Let me give you an example. How many of you have joined a gym or joined a fitness program because one of your friends joined? That is me. Like, I have done that. Okay. And why do I do that? Because it's time that I go spend with my friends but I'm going and getting a workout done that I might not do otherwise, which is pretty crazy, right? That's why this method works so nicely. This is why Design Suite works as well as it does, because there's a certain amount of peer pressure to perform because you're in a group of people doing what you're doing. And that educational piece and doing it together really makes a huge difference. Also, the fact that you're not in charge of it, which is really, really good. I love it. Jennifer says, for Burba Designs, I should say, since I know it's Jen. She says, I love the gold star chart method. I was going to start putting up a calendar and put an X on each day that I meet a design goal with the goal of filling up as much of the calendar as I can each month. I love that. I love a calendar goal because then the other thing is you can look back at it and see what you've accomplished. You know, so often we as designers, we look at the stuff we've done and we forget all the things we've done. We look at the last month and we're like, oh, it doesn't feel like I got that much done. But then you start, if you saw all the gold stars or the check marks on a calendar, you'd be like, no, like I worked really hard this month. I really did some amazing things this month. And that's really the point of it, right? Okay. All right. I'm going to give you the last one. This is number 4. I have a funny name for this. All right. I'm not going to write the whole thing out, but I call this from production hell to production heaven. And when I say this, I'm going to get some judgment, and I appreciate it. You guys can judge me on this, but this is how I make it through. The third step in the design process model is production. And it's the piece nobody likes to do. What do we do during production? Production is anything that prepares the piece for the customer. So often it's the way you've set the whole thing up. It is very often like your mock-ups. It is prepping the piece to make sure it's RGB or CMYK. It's like all the stuff, like the little detail stuff that really kind of bogs an artist or a designer down. Okay. So this is how I deal with this. First of all, I used to hate production. I'm going to tell you that. And I know most of my designers tell me how much they hate the production process because they just wanted to be in the creation process. I don't blame them. The creation process is the bomb. It's like the best. Okay. So when you have to go into the production process, it can feel very stifling, I think is the best word for it. Would any of you guys agree with me in the chat? Like that the production process can feel super like the stifling process. Okay. So yeah, Burba Design says, yes, 100% my crutch. Okay. So let me tell you what I do. First of all, production, I always leave till the end of the day. It very often does not need the same kind of brain power as design work. When I'm designing something, I'm thinking it through, I'm building it, I'm doing all these things. When I'm doing sales, I'm thinking through and writing descriptions and SEO and keywords and all of that. Production's not like that. Almost always, for most of you, production should be a checklist. And if you can build that checklist for yourself and you know what that checklist is for your item, it should be pretty simple and straightforward. And because of that, this is the main time I watch TV. Now, my sisters used to always be like, Karina, you work so much. How is it possible that you get through as much TV as you do? And I'm like, production time. So I got to a point where I was never allowed to have a show going, which most of them I wouldn't really be watching. I'd be on my computer, I'd just be listening in or listening to a podcast while I do production time. And this is what I call my trashy TV time. So like if there is a show that I want to watch, okay. Also, I will just say I got through Gilmore Girls 4 times through every single season doing this method, but I would just put it over on the side. I was never allowed to turn it on. So it was like a treat. You know what I mean? Like I gave myself a treat for this. I would turn on my darn trashy TV, which is not Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls is not trashy TV, but there are plenty of other things that I'm not going to say what I watched is trashy TV. And I would turn it on, let it start running. And I was allowed to then make all my mock-ups for everything, build my SVG files, make sure everything was correct, right? And so I would get very excited for production time because I'd be like, okay, like today's a production day. That means today I get to sit back, I'm just going to build all my mock-ups for everything, just for everything. Like, honestly, you guys, it's like, what, how many mock-ups? If I had 10 for the week and I was doing at least 4 mock-ups for everything, it's 40 mock-ups. Sit there for 2 hours, just building all the mock-ups. And my trash TV is going on the side. Guys, it was so relaxing. Like, I got to a point, especially as a full-time designer, I'm working, 40 hours a week. Thursday's my production day. Where like I looked forward to Thursdays. It's towards the end of my week. I got to relax. It was also a day, usually, sometimes I'd be on camera if I was doing like my YouTube videos that day as well. But like it really turned into a day that I looked forward to. I know that's not the case for most production for designers, but once you build yourself a system for when you're going to do it, like for me, it was like all the mock-ups, then I would check all the files, then, I would make the types of files. Like, so if you have an SVG, you're probably making a DXF, an EPS, a PNG, you're making all the files. And it's just like running through and building all the actions and building all the stuff. And because of that, it really actually shifted in my brain. This whole idea of production being this very fun thing for me was incredible. Like it really, it gave me so much, like, I hate to say this, like the sales can kind of give anxiety, and spending the day, which I did on sales and trying to get everything ready and getting the keywords ready, was very stressful. So I really looked forward to that production day because it was a day of almost rest. So I think that anyone can make this shift if you want. It's probably my best tip I've ever done, which is production hell to production heaven, is just by simply having something fun associated with it. And for me, you could associate food with it if you really wanted to. I try not to do that because then I tend to overeat. Like, if I'm like, that's the day I have dessert or whatever. So I don't do that. I tend to choose, I choose shows. The other thing I will choose is like relationship stuff. So like if that was my production day, and if I had a great production day and maybe I just listened to a podcast while I was doing it, but the treat at the end of the day was like my husband and I got to go to dinner together, I'm here for that. That's a really lovely thing. And so kind of figuring out what triggers you, what's going to make you excited to do the thing, is what I really want you to do. I'm going to check the chat here because you guys are saying so many good things. So like Andrea says, I made my friend join an 8-week swim challenge with me, so I had more motivation to do it. Haha. Exactly. Right. We do things better when we do them with other people. And honestly, especially in this day and age, we need more social. We need more time with other people. Yeah, Susie said production is a speed bump. It totally can be. Unless you become like me and you become obsessed with production day. I remember being like, I wish every day was a production day. I wish I was just building mock-ups all day because my brain needed a break from everything I was doing. Judy says, end of day is a good idea, except it might be easier for me to put it off until never. Yeah, sometimes that does happen. So like you kind of have to kind of figure out what triggers you, right? And what makes the most sense to you. Because the whole point of the game is to make it so you actually do the thing, right? Yeah, Burba Design says, such a good idea. I have so many podcasts that I love to listen to and always look for excuses to find time to listen to them. Yeah, during production time. And I will say this is a really key element of the game, especially my naughty shows. I was not allowed to watch except for during production time. Now, this is key for me anyway, and it might work for you. The reason it's key is because I would be like having a production day, trying to finish all the things, and that was the only time I got to watch my guilty pleasure show. And I would have to literally wait until the following Wednesday or Thursday when I was doing production to get to watch that show again. So guess what I would do? Sometimes, and this is where gamification really works in your favor if you get really crazy with it. And I like to kind of add little rules to myself, kind of playing these games. I would be like, well, my production day could come sooner if I finished my design work sooner, right? So instead of taking 3 whole days to finish my design work, I would finish it all in 1.5 days so I could have a production day sooner. That is true gamification, you guys. It's like literally wending your way to the point where you're like, yep, this is what I'm doing because I really want production time, because I really want to know what's happening and who fell in love with who in the next episode. And I don't get to watch this unless I have another production day. All right. I love it. Jennifer just said yes. It really is. If I allowed myself to watch it whenever, then I would finish the whole thing on the weekend, right? But if I only get to watch it during production, then I'm much more cognizant of what I need and how I'm going to do it, which is really great. Okay. All right, so those are your 4 methods. If you didn't catch them all, the first is a mini design challenge. You just do this yourself. You can technically do it with other people, but I usually do this myself. Build all these little mini deadlines to build a lot of things. I would say 15, 30-minute, and 45-minute increments are best. When you put things in for an hour, it takes you an hour to do things, right? If you put something in for 15 minutes, you'll be surprised at how fast you can get it done. So the first is mini design challenges. The second one is the gold star method. So that design chart that will get you there. The third one is collaboratives. So anything that's a collaboration that will make you finish things is a really good theme. You can do it by theme, you can do it by number of products, you can do it by any way you want. But the key is to meet at some point during the day so you can show each other your projects, or have a text feed, or do it in in Design Suite. If you guys are in Design Suite and you want to do this, dude, we can do this in the community, you guys, which is really fun. Or we can do it on Marco Polo. It's a share at the end of the day, which is really fun. Okay. And then the fourth one is production hell to production heaven, which is you actually make the process so fun that you try to figure out how to get to that process as soon as you can. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So Susie just says, and loved our buttons during the conference. So sticker chart is just so great. Yeah. So I wonder if I have any on me, but you guys you'll see it in the videos coming out on Sundays, or when we do our long form videos for YouTube. But we did these cute little pins and buttons for everybody at the conference, and people were collecting them. Susie, wouldn't you say everybody was collecting them? They were super excited for them. So they would get these you guys would get these pins. We gave a pin for every day you were there. And then there was a pin based on whether you were VIP, you were in Design Suite, you were in MCM, our Marketing for Creatives Mastermind, you were enrolled in the university doing your master's degree or your design certificate, or if you were in CEM, our Creative Entrepreneur Mastermind. So there were special buttons. People were super excited because they'd be like, oh my gosh, I have 3 of these. I'm doing my master's degree, plus I'm in Design Suite, plus I'm in MCM. People were going crazy. It was kind of fun. Yeah. Oh yes. Susie said, yes, love collecting them. Susie, tell me if this is a little secretive, you guys. And so now that this is out there for everyone to see. So I'm going to be announcing in the next, I hope, week. I've seen that there is a standalone sitting on this person's website, but we'll be announcing our 2026. Maybe we should do pins for that as well, that you could get during the trip, which would be really, really fun. So that people could keep adding to their pins. We also did pins at our Design Suite retreats that were Design Suite exclusives in the previous years, which were really, really fun. Yeah, Susie gave me a heart. That would be kind of fun. All the different places we go gets a pin, which would be so fun. Yeah, Jennifer just said everyone loves carrots. And Judy says that sounds awesome. So, okay, you guys, we have to end today because guess what? In 5 minutes, I don't have my watch on, all of you guys are in a meeting with me. So our Design Suite Mastermind meeting is always at noon on Tuesdays. So I get to see all these lovely members. If you liked this gamification episode, would you do me a favor and just give this thing a like, give this video a like? I've also put links in the description to the Design, Profit, and Prosper book, which is available just on Amazon. You just have to put in Design, Profit, and Prosper. It will show right up. There's an Audible version. There's a paperback. There's a hardback version. It is a full color book. I recommend the hardback version. Sometimes the paper ones don't turn out as good, in my opinion. I also gave you a link to Design Bootcamp. So if you've never joined a Design Bootcamp, I cannot recommend enough you join one of those. It is 5 days, 1 hour workshops. I teach you 5 strategies for success and getting started. I tell you my story and how I was able to make it and how you can make it off of the exact same way that I did it. And it's also the only way you can get into Design Suite. So you have to come to a Design Bootcamp, and then we tell you about how we do Design Suite, because we give you some foundational frameworks to make sure you understand business before you come into a program like ours. So everybody have such an amazing day. So glad you came. And those of you who came live, so fun to see you guys. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.